Though they're meant to foster a spirit of friendly competition between nations, the Olympics have become inextricably linked with politics. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brayton and welcome to WatchMojo.com. In this section of our Olympic series, we learn about 5 Olympic Games that were affected by politics.
The 1936 Olympics were hosted in Berlin by the Nazi regime. They are probably the Olympics which actually made the Olympics important. Lots of the aspects we associate today with the Olympics do not come either from the classical Olympic Games or either from the first Olympics of the early revival period, but actually come from the 1936 Olympics. The most important one is the torch, and actually the whole relay of the flame and of the torch. Actually, that's a total invention of the Nazis. The flame would leave Greece, classical antiquity, the superior civilization of antiquity, and end up at Berlin, modern Germany, which was the superior civilization of the modern times. So that's what it was supposed to represent. The next major example when the Olympics become important is 1968, which the 1968 Olympics taking place in Mexico. And they're very important because for the first time we have African-American athletes who compete in these games and who decide to demonstrate their opposition to segregation and their support for civil rights in the United States by basically raising their fists during the ceremony of the medal awards. We all remember this picture. There are 3 athletes actually on the podium, 2 of them raising their fists. Afterwards, they faced serious repercussions for what they did. They were almost stripped from their medals. As a matter of fact, the 3rd athlete is also a good example because when he found out what had happened to his fellow athletes, he refused to be awarded the medals that they were going to be stripped off. So the next example we have with the Olympics being associated to politics is the 1972 Olympics taking place in Munich, Germany. The interesting thing there is that it's not a state that's behind the politicization. It's not individuals like in the 1968 Olympics. In the 1972 Olympics, it's a group. It's a group, a terrorist group with a political agenda, Palestinian group back in November, deciding to attack the Olympic village, take hostages from the Israeli team in order to promote their agenda, which was support for Palestinian rights and actually trying to show to the world how important what was taking place in the Middle East was for them, and especially after the Israeli-Arab war. We know the result of this hostage-taking. It was really badly negotiated, and finally the hostages are dead. It's also the first Olympics where we found out that it was really important to pay attention to security issues, that actually for the Olympics were becoming such a major worldwide event because of broadcasting, which was becoming important, and so that people would want to use the Olympics to promote their agendas. The next Olympics which have a political agenda actually are 2 because they're really close, they're close together. It's the 1980 Olympics taking place in Moscow and the 1984 Olympics taking place in Los Angeles. President Carter of the United States had decided to boycott the 1980 Olympics taking place in Moscow because of American opposition to the USSR invasion of Afghanistan. Many NATO states, member states, decided to also participate in that boycott and didn't go to the Olympics for the first time. As a reaction, the Soviet Union and many of its satellite states decided to boycott the 1984 Olympics taking place in Los Angeles. I don't think it was a success in a way. In a way, that's also the reason why many states have decided not to play the boycott card from then on. And also that's why also the International Olympic Committee now tries very hard usually to say the boycott is not a good solution. Our last example is in 2008 in the Beijing Olympics, because once again, the idea of the boycott came up. Why? Because of human rights violation in China, because of the Tibet conflict. The fact that there wasn't a boycott and the fact actually that the games were awarded to China show first of all that finally the Olympics games have evolved to a new stage. Politics used to be very important during the second phase from the 1930s to the 1980s. Today is more of the private interests of the corporatization of the Olympics, which is important. Corporate interests didn't want a boycott because that would have meant far less broadcasting revenues, of course far less publicity, etc. etc. So everything was done so that we wouldn't have a boycott. What is important is the fact that we see that we gave the Olympics to China because it has emerged as a major superpower. And also the fact that nothing was done shows that actually nobody really tries to, as a matter of fact, put pressure on China on these issues.